Prabha, a Union Party leader, is a noted member of parliament from the state of Madhya Pradesh. Being the member of parliament, she has to recommend the names of potential candidates for the assembly segments in her parliamentary constituency. In these elections, citizens would choose their representatives to run the state government. The election process in India follows the principle of universal adult franchise. Franchise is the right to vote. Universal adult franchise means every citizen 18 years of age and above has a right to cast a vote in the elections. Prabha's constituency has a number of young electorates. These young electorates also comprise voters from backward communities. Once the party candidates are finalized, Prabha's party workers start going door to door to reach out to as many people as possible. The election campaign is the best time to inform people about the party's political ideologies and deserving candidates. Prabha's party is popular for nominating members with good education and a clean background. Her party also faces a fierce competition from Ravinder Guru of Adhunik Party and Shyam Narayan of Azad Party. But Prabha seems pretty confident about the merit of her party candidates and hopes that the people will elect them. Elections to the State Assembly and the Lok Sabha are direct. People directly cast a vote for their representatives. Members of both the Rajya Sabha and Vidhan Parishad are indirectly elected by the voted representatives of people. Similarly, the President and Vice President of India are indirectly elected by the members of both Houses of Parliament. Did you know? Elected members of the State Legislative Assembly also participate in the election of the President. The election process can also be categorized with respect to their term. Ideally, a general election takes place every 5 years. However, in case of untimely dissolution of the central or state legislature, midterm elections are held to elect a new house. If by any chance a seat in either of the legislative houses becomes vacant before the end of the term, by-elections are held for the seat to fill the office. Elections are considered as the lifeline of democracy. Hence, it is essential for the voters to vote responsibly for the right candidate, as these elections decide the future of the nation.
India is a large country in terms of its area. Therefore, elections in India are held by dividing the country into fixed areas with a specified voting population. These fixed areas are called constituencies or seats. For the parliamentary elections or elections to the Lok Sabha, the country is divided into 543 constituencies. For example, Ladakh constituency is the largest Lok Sabha constituency in terms of area, and the Chandni Chowk Lok Sabha constituency is the smallest in terms of area. A much smaller area is demarcated for the Vidhan Sabha or the state assembly elections. The number of assembly segments varies from state to state. For instance, the state of Andhra Pradesh comprises 294 assembly constituencies. Each of these constituencies sends a single elected representative to the Lok Sabha or Vidhan Sabha. For example, the constituency of North Goa elects a single representative to the Lok Sabha. At the state level too, only one member is elected from each assembly segment. For example, the assembly constituency of Valpoi elects a single representative to the Vidhan Sabha. Unlike India, some countries have multi-member constituencies. This means that more than one representative is selected from a single constituency. Multi-member constituencies system is followed in countries such as France and Germany. Because a multi-member constituency creates instability due to over-representation, it is gradually discarded in favor of a single-member constituency. There are also reserved constituencies for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes in parliamentary, assembly and municipal elections. General candidates are not allowed to contest in these constituencies. Why do you think some constituencies need to be reserved for scheduled castes and tribes? This is because the architects of our constitution wanted these sections to be fairly represented in the parliament. Without such support, a section of people who are economically weak and lack resources would not stand a chance to win elections. In the current Lok Sabha, 79 seats are reserved for the scheduled castes and 41 seats are reserved for the scheduled tribes. The process of elections in India is laid down under the Representation of People's Act of 1951. But how is this act implemented to conduct a smooth election? Meet Shanta. She was the Union Party candidate for one of the assembly constituencies in Andhra Pradesh. Let's look at her journey and understand the electoral process better. Before she decided to contest the elections, Shanta was a union leader. The Union Party saw potential in her to win the election because she was from a backward community and had dedicated her life for the welfare of the people in her region. Since Shanta was the candidate for the Union Party, she got to use the Union Party's symbol for election. Some people also stand as independent candidates not aligned to any political party. Once her candidature was confirmed, she had to file her nomination papers. Along with the nomination form, Shanta had to pay Rs 2,500 as a security deposit and get her nomination papers proposed and seconded. As per the rules of the Supreme Court, Shanta also had to submit a legal declaration providing information such as serious criminal case pending against her name, details of her assets, her educational qualifications. The nomination form was carefully scrutinized by the returning officer appointed by the Election Commission to supervise and conduct election in each constituency. After this, her nomination papers were accepted. Later, the Election Commission announced the names of all the candidates from the constituency. Election campaign plays a pivotal role in determining which party will rule the government. She also participated in public debates and talk shows conducted by media houses to talk about her party's policies and programs as per the party manifesto. On the polling day, voters casted their vote. Every person whose name appeared on the voters' list was entitled to cast their vote. To ensure a transparent voting process, the Election Commission had allowed a polling agent representing each candidate to be present at the polling booth. An electronic voting machine, EVM, was used to record votes. The machine contained the names of the candidate along with the party symbols. The voters had to press the button against the name of the candidate they chose. Indelible ink was put on the index finger of the left hand as a proof that a voter had cast his vote. EVM machines were sealed and taken to a secure place once the polling was over. On the result day, the electronic voting machines were opened and votes secured by each candidate were counted. Counting of vote was done in the presence of the returning officer. After the results were declared, Shanta won the election by simple majority. This means she got the highest number of votes in her constituency. This was Shanta's first experience of the election process. She found the process to be clear and effective due to the processes laid down by the Election Commission. She was proud when she became a first-time member of the Vidhan Sabha and could fulfill her desire to serve the people of her state.
From what we read here, the Election Commission or EC appears to be an important body that takes vital decisions on the conduct of elections. The Election Commission of India derives these powers from the Indian Constitution. Articles 324 to 329 of the Indian Constitution clearly state the provisions for free and fair elections. A free and fair electoral system builds a strong base for a democratic government. Hence, the people who framed our constitution attached great significance to an independent electoral system. The Election Commission was established in 1950 as autonomous electoral machinery. Until 1989, the Election Commission functioned as a single-member constitutional body with the Election Commissioner as its head. In 1989, it became a multi-member body comprising a Chief Election Commissioner and 2 election commissioners. The Election Commission has a hierarchical structure. As the chairperson of the body, the Chief Election Commissioner heads the commission. He is assisted by 2 election commissioners. Further, officers such as the regional commissioners, the deputy election commissioners, the research officers, the secretary, the under-secretary, and the clerical staff assist the commission in the electoral process. The Chief Election Commissioner and the other 2 election commissioners are appointed by the President of India on the recommendation of the Prime Minister of the nation. If on any matter the opinions of the Chief Election Commissioner and the other commissioners differ, then the decision is made as per the opinion of the majority. The Chief Election Commissioner serve a term of 6 years or up to the age of 65, whichever comes earlier. They enjoy the same status and receive same salary as the Supreme Court judge. The other officers are appointed by the President and the Governor, as the case may be, after consulting the Election Commission. Election Commission functions as an autonomous constitutional body that is free from any political influence. It is solely responsible for the elections to the legislatures and of the President and Vice President of India. The Chief Election Commissioner can be removed only through the process of impeachment by the majority votes of the Parliament. Other election commissioners and regional commissioners can be removed from office only on the recommendation of the Chief Election Commissioner. The salary and perks of the other election commissioners are same as the judge of a high court. During elections, the Election Commission employs government officers and takes complete charge over them. This ensures the independence of the body in carrying out the election process in a proper manner. The Election Commission rightfully enforces the Model Code of Conduct on the political parties and government officers to ensure free and fair elections. The government officers should not participate in political activities. Politicians should not use the government facilities for election campaigns that they otherwise avail as a minister. Political parties should not intimidate or influence voters. They should not appeal to caste or communal feelings. Lastly, they should not use a place of worship for election campaigns. These guidelines for the government and political parties help in ensuring the legitimacy and fairness of the election process.